Well, I goofed that up, but that's all right, people. You're watching me goof up live because I want to do this.
Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Purdue.
Hey, it's time again. Hey, look at that snow out there. Beautiful snow. Again, as I was talking to our guest right here before we get started, that here where I live outside of Nashville, Tennessee, we freak out when we get half an inch of snow. Not that the state and the cities are not prepared. They put all the brine down, salt down. They're doing everything. They got the trucks coming, sweeping and pushing the snow off the road. It's us Tennesseans don't know how to drive in it. Learn to drive in it or get off the road. Don't get on the road at all. I tell you what, you slow us down. Hey, that's an adversity in itself. We need to talk about peaceful. Learn to persevere and drive straight in the right way and then stay in the lane there in the snow and here in Tennessee. All right, here we go. Now that my griping's over with that, today, our guest today is going to talk about him overcoming adversity, him persevering through as an athlete and such. He even owns his own podcast as well, and I've been featured on it and going to be featured on it again. But his podcast is Plain Injured. Welcome to the show, Josh Dillingham.
Man, James, first of all, this is crazy. That countdown was probably one of the best things I've seen in a long time. And like I told you before we hit record and got started with the show, you're really great at what you do. And chatting with you the few times that I've chatted with you, I've learned a lot from you in the podcasting space. And I was looking on Podmatch today, and you are the #1 ranked podcast on Podmatch. So that talks about your work ethic, and I'm pumped, and I got a lot of gratitude to be on the show.
I'll be sending that $20 to you in the mail for opening up and bragging on me like that. So
I appreciate that.
There you go. Appreciate yourself. And it's amazing. Of course, I couldn't have reached #1 on Podmatch if it wasn't for the guests that I get to put on here, and definitely for the listeners. So I appreciate all of you coming in and the guests sharing their journey, their story to help provide some hope, some motivation, inspiration, just like you're going to do here in a minute to help other people. And of course, they saying all this stuff is on the internet now forever, they say. So Josh is thinking 100 years from now, whatever this stuff be called, somebody's going to find this podcast and you're going to help them in 100 years. Just think of that. All right, Josh. I lost your volume. Can't hear you now, man. Now, whoops. Do it again. I heard you then.
All right, now this is good.
Now you're up and going again. I don't know what happened. No, I lost you again. We didn't lost you, man.
All right, I've changed my mic around. I'm not sure what happened, but can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. Yes, sir.
All right, great. My apologies.
Oh, that's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. We just have some fun. You know, we do that magical thing called editing, so we're in good shape. So.
I love it.
All right, Josh, again, thank you for being here. I tell people I really thank them for sharing their valuable time. We know how people's time is valuable. And so I appreciate you coming and sharing your valuable time with us and getting us going. So, all right, Josh, whatever you think you need to start in your life, I'm just providing a platform. And go ahead and let's get started, buddy, wherever you need to start at.
Yeah, I guess it helps to share my background and where I come from so that people can connect. But young male coming from the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois, comes from a small town, Bolingbrook, which is right next to Naperville. Most people know what Naperville is. But played sports all my life. All I really cared about was sports. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, so really learned that work ethic from my parents. I would say that they got a ton of free labor out of me. I watched them start up a few businesses, and I was that free labor that they got as a young employee, which is a child. But from there, I just really got that mindset that whatever you want in life, you have to work for it. You have to put the time in, and like perseverance is key. We have a ton of excuses on a day-to-day basis, but I've learned a good excuse and a bad excuse have the same result. You don't go anywhere. So from there, had a sports career, really successful. Ended up playing in college. Actually, this is my wrong way. This is my college jersey actually, and got to come to downtown Chicago, one of the best cities in the world, and live out my dream of playing college sports. Had a really successful time there. In my last year there, we actually made the national tournament for the first time in school history, and that was amazing. But for me, I had multiple injuries in my playing career, and that's kind of where the Playing Injured podcast stems from. Is hey, we have all these injuries, we have all these excuses, but how can we continue to persevere? Success, the results that we want out of life, doesn't care about the validity of our excuses. And so we have to continue to push forward, continue to keep moving. And that's where that podcast stemmed from. But after my playing career, I would say the biggest injury for me is post-athletic depression, not understanding what my purpose was. My whole life, where I come from, I put myself in a box. It's just being an athlete. And that's all I thought I was good for in the world. I wasn't the best student. I wouldn't say I was great at anything else. I couldn't think of it. And so really for me, my mission now is to be an example for young athletes who feel that same way as I do, not really knowing their purpose, but also to helping people persevere through adversity by bringing on amazing people like yourself, James, on the podcast, and help people learn how to persevere through any adversity that they have in life.
Amen, brother. Hey, the thing we said, and they mentioned this podcast again, like I mentioned earlier, Playing Injured. You need to go drop in and get you a couple of downloads and from there. But we were just looking a few minutes ago and saw that his podcast is ranking in global. We're talking worldwide in the top 2.5% of all podcasts. And we're talking 2.7 million plus podcasts. Now he's ranked in the top 2.5% in the top ranking. So that's awesome in itself. There's some perseverance there, you know, so to get that going. So thank you. Proud of that for you. So, all right, Josh, here's one thing that I'm like you. When you were talking about you put yourself in a box and your athletic was all you focused on, and school wasn't important, is that, yeah, you're like me. I made the grades good enough so I could be eligible to play.
Yeah.
You know, because I knew if they were too low, I couldn't play. So I stayed right on that line to stay eligible. I didn't care about anything else because, like you, I thought my sports was going to get me my world. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we get that blinder put on us like horse racing, that we just so focused on this one thing. But if we take them blinders off and we realize we're multi-talented in a bunch of areas and we're great in a lot of areas, we just need to find out what that stuff is. That way we can get out and help other people.
Yeah, 100%. And also too, it was my identity, right? It was what
exactly.
I thought. It's what I thought success was. And I thought that was my only way to create success. All of my friends played sports. All of the people who I looked up to when I grew up played sports. My father played sports. My older brother played sports. Everybody played sports that created success around me. I didn't know any other way to create success. And you know, my parents, they were entrepreneurs and they owned businesses back in my hometown. But for me, it wasn't necessarily the path that I thought I wanted to go down. But now that I'm older, you know, now I'm going down the entrepreneurial route, and I want to be like my parents, and be able to have control of my time. But those blinders that you talk about is just, you know, our identity, and I had to expose myself from those blinders. I couldn't just take them off. I had to go out and make new relationships with new people, create new experiences outside of the sports world. I had to start a podcast. I had to go out and shake hands with folks who I thought that created success in life, in other ways, and I wanted to kind of follow their footsteps. So I always tell folks now, I wish when I was in college, I wasn't too cool to go out and meet as many people as possible, to open up those horizons and take those blinders off by creating relationships and creating new experiences.
Get those relationships, that networking earlier in
Yeah,
life to
yeah,
benefit later on in life. Hey,
wow,
now there one thing that I would tell any athlete now, as young as possible, you know, I would say middle school age, 7th and 8th grade, 6th grade, I would tell them study,
mm,
because you don't know if you're going to be the next Michael Jordan or LeBron James,
yeah,
or for me in baseball, you know, Mark McGuire or Nolan
yeah,
Ryan, or you don't know until you go through there.
yeah,
So you need to have the backup plan, which is an education. See, and I said, because once I got into college and after my injury, now I know I wasn't going to get through college playing. I better start studying. And
yeah,
I would spend hours and hours more than most people studying, because I didn't know how to study. And
yeah.
I would really encourage anybody, if they're young and athletic, that they need to learn to study and keep those grades beforehand.
100%. You know, another thing about that too is just practicing a work habit, right? Practicing healthy habits when it comes to work. You know, I think that was another learning curve for me, since I didn't really take school serious. Basketball and working hard there, for some reason, that was easy for me, right? Because it was kind of what I wanted to do.
Exactly. It's what you
But
wanted to do. Yeah.
when it comes to things that you don't necessarily want to do, like running a podcast, right? It's things that we love to do, but then it's some back end work that we don't necessarily like to do as much. Maybe the editing, the reaching out, the all the things that don't have to do with what we're doing right now, actually getting on the podcast, right? And if I would, I think if I would have took more time to actually practice those study habits and doing things that I didn't necessarily want to do, practicing that discipline, I would have been better off. So yeah, I agree with you. Study more. Study more.
Yeah.
It'll help in the
Yeah.
long run.
Yeah, and also in the network and everything, I wish and hope in the future I'm like you. I don't like going hunting and finding the people,
You're right.
or them connecting with me and then setting up the calendar, doing everything, then prepare. I want to be able to have this podcast enough where I can pay someone to do all that for me. That way I can do the right here, just interviewing and talking, getting the information, and then it's
100%.
over with. Then when it's over with, pass it on and pay someone to do the editing and put it up. So
100%.
I want
Man,
I
that's the
want to
life.
do all I want to do the fun thing with the interviewing. I don't want to do, like you said, the what we don't like doing, but we have to do it until the success comes.
Yeah, 100%. That's the grit work, right? But
That,
that and
that's right.
and those are the things. Those are the things that bring success. It's like it's multiple different things. Even with basketball, right? And it was some things that I didn't necessarily like getting up early or running or lifting weights at the time. But those are things that I had to do to be better at getting on the court. But I think practicing healthy habits in all areas of life and not letting this part of our life slip through the crack, but focusing on this, it's like, hey, We have relationships that are important, right? We have our finances, we have our family, um, and our faith, you know? So these are all different things that, are important. And we should practice healthy habits in multiple different ways, not just one way.
Yeah, and it goes to again the old saying, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket."
And
And
yeah,
when I say eggs, I'm talking about one big goose egg that I had with
right.
the baseball,
Yeah.
and didn't think about anything else going in with it. My big one goose egg was right there, and so the better people can be planned and again multiple areas, getting that getting a bunch of relationships going to help each other, the better you're going to be successful and hopefully quicker, and that way you can turn around and help other people out in the long run.
100%. And you learn new things. Like I said, that's what takes the blinders off, is exposing yourself and learning new things. Like I said before, um, even I'm looking at, if you guys can look at my point of view, I'm looking at your setup in a podcast, and it's inspiring me to want to do more. You're showing me different things, and I'm just learning just by creating a relationship. I get opportunity to learn some things from you, um, and I feel like you can do that with any person you encounter on a day-to-day basis. When you connect, you just shake that hand and introduce yourself. You can learn a lot of things in this world,
That's
and for sure.
that's right. And so yeah, if I can go back to you ever could have ever gone back to the young me, yeah, there's the couple of things I would do different. I was so one of those competitors that was so
Mm,
into and everything. I'd get on first base and I wouldn't even talk to the other team. I just because I was so competitive. I wish I'd have been more sociable with them, more
mm,
learning about them. Just other areas, but I was so competitive. I didn't want to even talk to them. And so,
yeah,
yeah, but I wish I was different in that area as well. Like I said, again, it goes back to networking and relationships. Who knows? You could have been a friend from another school, and then later on you meet up again somewhere else, and then do business together. Who knows? And so,
yeah,
but yeah,
100.
that's something I wish I would have been more sociable and outgoing with them instead of. I mean, not to say being competitive is bad, but don't limit yourself to not being good and talking to someone.
Being a good person, right? You could be competitive, healthy, and then there's some unhealthy ways of being competitive, right? And I mean, now this makes me think about how this goes back to adversity and how relationships can help you persevere and have some advantages through adversity. And that's when you do build relationships. For me, it's been times where I've lost jobs, and because of the network I've built, I've been able to get back on my feet, right? By
Hmm.
treating people great and just serving and giving and knowing that, hey, one day this will come back, and doing it genuinely from the bottom of your heart. When you do things and you build relationships, you build these genuine relationships, you'll know that you'll always be good, because of all the seeds you sowed and relationships you've built. That has definitely helped you when it comes to adversity, perseverance, having people to help you get through things. It's just like, man, relationships are, it's like one of my favorite things. It's something I'm passionate about. Is building new relationships, and I know you are too. That's why you get into the podcasting game, is to build relationships, not just to just chat and talk. It's that we actually get to build relationships and get deep with people and help others. It's an amazing
Yeah,
experience when you do that.
yeah. Two things. Zig Ziglar, once says, "You help enough people, and then they'll turn around to help you."
Yeah,
They help enough, and it'll come back to you. And the other
yeah,
thing, and I don't know who said exactly, but yeah, when you go out and do something and help someone and expect nothing in return, that's when blessings come back, to you as well. When you expect nothing in
100%.
return. And so I'm finishing up one book that I'm writing, and it's one section is talking about we should share our gifts. That we all
Mm,
have certain gifts, And I'm not saying you can't make money off of it, but there's times you can share it without worrying about money.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and we all have different areas that we're gifted in. All right. Now, me in a wheelchair, if my elderly neighbor, I noticed the yard hadn't been mowed, I can't go mow it, right? But I can call Josh and say, hey, Josh, come on down here. And this neighbor needs mowing, yard
Yeah.
mowing. And then I can do that. Okay. And one thing
Yeah.
I'm really gifted in is I used to work on cars, automobiles. So I understand the how engines work. And if I see a lawnmower on the road, I'll have someone go pick it up for me. And if I can get that thing running that they thrown away, then I could take that lawnmower and find someone that doesn't have a lawnmower and
Mm.
give it to them to help them and expect nothing in return. And I
Yeah.
really love income tax season because people are upgrading their TVs or upgrading a microwave or upgrading, and they put that stuff on the side of the road and it still works. And then you find a poor family that doesn't have a microwave or a family that
Wow.
doesn't have a better TV than what's out there. And then you take and give to them. So that's one of my gifts that I try to do to help people.
Man, that's I love that, first of all, giving out gifts. I was reading seven seven spiritual laws of success by Deepak Chopra. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and he talks about giving gifts, and it isn't just monetary, but it can be something like a compliment, right? It
Exactly.
can
Yeah,
be,
there's a lot of things out there that doesn't cost you a piece
yeah,
of any currency at all. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah, a compliment,
compliment,
a smile.
smile,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's all you need to do.
sharing a laugh, that's great. Even saying a prayer for somebody, right? That's a gift.
Yeah.
Hey, even in silence, just saying, man, just wishing good things to happen for somebody, silently. You say, hey, I hope you have a blessed day. I want, like, these are small gifts that go a long way.
Now,
Um,
Josh, I'm a little bit older than you, but
yeah,
you touched on something just a second ago when you say a prayer, whether it's out loud to yourself, and hoping that someone's having a blessed day.
yeah,
Now I'm ordering you. I've got to where I don't care if someone likes or hates me or whatever anymore. If
yeah.
they can't stand me, I'm sorry for that because I think I'm the greatest thing going. But
I
if
love it.
they don't want to be with me, that's fine. But I have gotten to the point that if someone wrongs me, or at least I perceive they've wronged me, I don't wish anything bad to happen to them. I
Mm,
just tell them to go ahead and have their best out of life the best they can, and I hope they're, successful and just go. I don't even care. I mean, I'm not letting them live rent free. I mean, like being competitive in sports, you know,
yeah,
years ago, it would be, I remember so and so did something to me 10 years ago, and I still can't believe they did that. Nah, forget that mess. Just,
yeah.
I hope they have the best life. Now, doesn't mean I ever want to talk to them again. Doesn't mean I want to go out to dinner with them or anything. But
Right.
I would say, yeah, I hope you have a blessed life and move on.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, uh, I remember, you saying that competitive nature, and then how you would use that as probably fuel and anger, and, like, you wish bad things, and a lot of time that's just our ego, right? And
Oh,
we
yeah,
get
yeah,
times,
yeah.
that's our ego, and if we could kind of take our ego down and just realize that, hey, it's he has his perspective on the world, and he may be going through something, or he may be, this is a gift to not have him in my life, or her, or whatever the case may be. And it's just, what help does it do for me to want to maliciously add something to them? Because, yeah, I believe in karma. It can always come back. It can always come back. I wish something malicious on somebody, and it comes back to me. For me, I
Yeah.
agree with you. It's just like, hey, have a blessed day, have a blessed time, and good luck in the future. Good luck.
Yeah, I don't have to go drink a beer with you anymore, and I don't have to
Right.
go eat. But you just move on, and I hope you have a blessed life and go from there. Yeah. So, Hey, now what's yeah, now that one thing that this world seems to get away from is we just can't. I don't have to agree with you, Josh, and whatever you say, but I
Right.
need to respect your opinion. How yeah, again, we view the world differently in Chicago and Tennessee, wherever we're at, and we have different opinions. And we as the world should be able to say, "I understand what you're saying. I just don't agree with it, but I respect how you are." And we got too much of this bullying and
Yeah.
pushing, and
Cancel people getting canceled, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
that
And
that's another topic in itself with all that.
I do want to touch on that because I
Yeah,
think
go
we do
ahead.
a lot. I think we do a lot of judging. We judge.
Yeah,
We judge. That's what it comes down to. We're judging folks. It's a few things I think. We're judging folks, and we want to see people fall from grace. You know, we're so quick to cancel somebody for something, for them having an opinion or a different perspective than us. We want to see them fall for grace. But two, we just judge folks so quickly just on the surface without understanding. Of
but
course, me and you are going to see the world different. I'm here in Chicago, you're Tennessee. I'm a younger black male. You're older than me and a white male. Of course, our perceptions on the world is going to be different. Not saying you're a bad person or I'm a bad person. We just view things
yeah,
differently.
exactly,
We just
exactly.
view things differently because that's it's no way for you to know anything else if you haven't experienced it. If you, like I said before, if you haven't experienced it or learned something or experienced it firsthand or some close to somebody who experienced it firsthand, how will you know a new perspective? It's impossible.
Yeah,
And so
but
the
we
bullying and the judgment is terrible.
yeah. Instead of judging so much, just get open minded and get to know the people first, and then if you don't like it, hey, again, you don't have to meet up with them, but that doesn't
Right.
mean you have to pull out a bat and start hitting them or anything like that.
Right.
Just move on about your business.
Yeah.
So
And another thing with judgment, you begin to fear others judging you, right? The more you judge, the more afraid you become to be yourself, and you start to think like the environment around you because you're scared of being judged instead of being an individual and not judging others for doing what they want to do with their lives, and me allowing me to be and have my own opinions and perception on the world, and not judging. I think a lot of people trap themselves by judging others because now you're creating an environment where you're scared that others will judge you.
yeah, yeah, and with our ego, they may be right with these judges. We're just so into our own selves, we just don't recognize it. Or if
Yeah,
we do know it, we try to overcompensate by being whatever
yeah,
else. And so,
yeah,
yeah, so we say it's judge them judging us maybe more than we don't want to know how other people really feel because it may be true.
yeah. It's crazy. It
So,
is. It is. I've never seen I've never seen it so much in the world today, but that's because there's more voices out there where people get to share their perceptions on the world like we are right now.
well, this internet is so great that for you and I to be able to do this, being so far away, on the interviewing someone else across the world and everything. But then this internet is so bad when you get to other people that, again, come up with a fake account just so they can go bully someone,
Yeah.
to spread lies and everything. So, wow, it's
Yeah,
it
that's crazy.
it's
That's crazy.
it goes to this story I've told before to other people that I had this one friend and he was on drugs, okay, but he was trying to get off and everything like that. So one day he told me he come to me and said, James, look, man, I found $20 bill. He said, God done blessed me with this 20. I said, yeah, he has. I said, or the devil's done cursed you. And he says, what do you mean? Well, what are you gonna do with that 20? You're gonna buy food, buy shoes, maybe buy somebody else a meal that could use it, or you're going to do dope with it.
Mm.
Oh, no, no. And he ended up doing dope with it. And I said, well, God didn't bless you to go do dope. Um, so you got to look at it. The devil tested you and you won with the devil's eyes. And so, it's the way most things in life. The internet is used for the good, or if it's used for the bad, it's the people's decision.
No, that's so true. I never thought about it that way though. You get a blessing, and it makes me think about other examples in life. How are you using your blessings? How are you using things you've been blessed with?
Yeah,
Um,
you're neither going to be blessed or you're being tested with the devil. So it's however you use your blessing is whether it's a true blessing or not.
yeah, no, that's a great example. That's a great analogy that I remember that because I think that's key. Even hey, you get a great opportunity to do something special, and you use it for the wrong reason. And so I remember that story. That's something
Well,
I keep in my head
I'll
for
give you
sure.
one last story here, Josh, and we'll move on because we can't solve the world all in 30 minutes. But and the only reason I like this one, this is just so funny. But it's how we're brought up, we're raised, our environment can determine how we perceive and think in our mind, right? If we're brought up in a negative environment, we're going to be negative probably, unless we get out of it and do something different. I had this other friend. We've known each other for 40 plus years, 45 years. And maybe it's closer to 50 years now. He was poor. And so I would bring him to my house. We met at 12, 13 years old and brought him to my house so we can feed him some. But he still lived with his grandparents because mom and dad didn't want anything to do with him. But one day, and this has probably been about 15 years ago, Tennessee got into the lottery and everything, and the lottery had gotten up to $500 million, 500 million. All right. This friend of mine comes to me, and here's his mind thinking right here. And again, the way he was brought up, here's his mind thinking. He said, "Man, you see that lottery? It's up to 500 million." And I said, "Yeah, man, it's 500 million. Yeah, man." And he said, "Man, I sure love to win that. But if I did, they would take my food stamps away from me." And I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, if I wanted, then they being, um, what is it
You know
called?
the
The
government, the
government welfare,
welfare. Yeah.
way, yeah." And they would take, I said, "You telling me you can't live off $500 million, that you need that $191 a month food stamp?" And so yeah, unless whatever environment we're in, unless we do something to change that, we're going to be set like that all our life.
Wow.
So he had the opportunity to get out a few times, but he just fell back into it, and that's the way he is and everything. But man, it's amazing, and I'm so glad that, I really believe this: sports teaches a lot of life
Yeah.
when you're playing, and even when you're out of it. But while playing, you learn how to lose, you learn how to win, you learn what to do when you lose, how to adapt and change, work as a team. I mean, a lot of life lessons in there. And this guy, he didn't play sports. Not to say sports the all of everything, okay, but it's the same thing in life. You got to have a supporting cast that's going to help you. You got to have a your own will and drive, that when you fail, and if you fail, that you've learned from it and you can move forward in it. And yeah, I'm all people say, "Oh, I feel like I've made two steps forward in life, and I just got kicked back one time or one step." I said, "Well, cool, it's good. If you went two steps forward and one back, you still one into good." And so just learn it, move on, and go from there.
Yeah. That's first of all, that story reminds me just you know nervous for more responsibility. You know, we enjoy comfort. A lot of people. I think us as human beings were wired for comfort and what we're
Exactly. Yeah.
doing instead of taking an opportunity, even if it's served to you on a silver platter. We're nervous for more opportunity because we know it comes with more responsibility, and so it's
Well, it
that's
goes
that's the
to
good stuff.
also that. even though, say you go for a job promotion or go for, like I said, something really give it to you that could really benefit. Some people fail in that area because they don't know what's on the other side, on what's the possibility of what they're going to get. They're
Yeah.
thinking, what if I fail at this? So instead of going and try, like you said, I'd rather be in my own comfort zone in the boat and don't rock the boat to make it wavy so I don't fall out. Yeah, you're right. You're right 1,000% that, yeah, we're built for comfort instead of testing like we could and should in some areas.
Yeah. I mean, it's how we're wired as humans. We're built to want comfort, and that's why it's so important for us to get out there. You know, we hear it all the time. Get out your
That's right.
comfort zone. That's the only way you're going to grow. Yeah.
That's right. Hey, Josh, thank you for coming on here. And man, we can't solve everything in the 30 minutes here, but I appreciate you coming and talking and chatting with me. Learned a few things from you, and I definitely want to learn from your podcast since you're in the top 2.5% global. All right, out of the 2.7 plus million podcasts that are out there. So I want to definitely get some notes and learn from you as well. And so, hey, go ahead and tell the people again how they can find you with your podcast, social media.
Yeah, for sure. So first off, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn as well, but I'm also active on Instagram as well. You can follow me at _J.Dill. That's J.Dill. And then you can also follow our Instagram page at Playing Injured Podcast. We're on there as well. We have a Facebook page, Playing Injured Podcast. We have a LinkedIn page, Playing Injured Podcast. And we can start from there. But feel free to reach out. I love chatting and building relationships.
There we go. And I'll put those links in the show notes as we get done here and as we get up on the real podcast. So, all right, Josh. Now we know there's people hurting and struggling today. If you can give us a powerful message to get them through today, man, that'd be a blessing.
I always learn this when going through struggles in life is that it's temporary. It is temporary. We're either going into a storm, entering a storm, we're in a storm, or we're actually leaving out of a storm. And so right now you're going through something, you're just in a season of life. It's temporary. Continue to build great habits, continue to push forward. Continue to keep positivity in your life, keep positive people in your life, and continue to keep moving. And this too shall pass.
All right. You heard that from my man, Josh. Keep moving, stay positive, and all this negative too will pass. Learn from it, get better at it, and be ready for the next thing's coming because this is life. It's coming anyway. And so be better prepared for it. That way you can help someone later on in life as well. Josh, thank you for coming in. Hey, anybody else can listen in? Thank you for coming in, listening. Share us out. Someone you know can use some hope, some inspiration, motivation. I'm Dr. James Perdue, the professor of perseverance himself. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your